All right, everybody, here we go. Let's take a look. Letting you all in right now. So good morning, everybody, for everybody on the West Coast. Andy Jinks, good to see you, sir. John Hughes, seeing some familiar names hopping on right now. So I hope you all had an amazing Thanksgiving. And for those of you who aren't in America that don't celebrate Thanksgiving, you should really take it up because it's a great vacation. Lots of good food and not the amount of stress that Christmas is. So anyway, looking forward to talking with you all today. So today, Andy, good to see you, buddy. Most important thing I need from you all today is a piece of paper and a pen, or you can be typing if you like. But we're definitely going to do some. We're going to do some active work today. So I want to make sure that you guys are filling stuff out, and I will be picking on you. And Andy, I'll probably pick on you to start with, just because I haven't seen you in a while. So, all right. So today we're talking about the power of questions, and as coaches, we know that it's so vitally important that we ask good questions. I mean, that's how you become a great coach. That's how you lead somebody. That's how you get somebody to their goals, is by asking good questions and asking the right questions at the right time. What I want to do today was focus a little bit on, it's coming to the end of the year. Obviously a crazy year for every one of us. I don't think there's anybody on this call that would say, yeah, easy, chilled year, not too much happening for me, just the standard. It's been emotional, and it's been some super highs and also some super lows. And so what I wanted to do today was just go over 5 questions and challenge each of you just to take a minute or two to write these out for yourself. And then I'm going to go through them and ask some of you today on the call what your answers were and how that's going to impact you moving forward. So if everybody's got a pen, if everybody's got, or if they want to type it into the chat box, I'll just go ahead. I'm going to bring up the chat box right here so we can enter this in. I'm going to write it hi right there. So let's just make sure you all see it. So I'd love you, if you could, to type them into the chat box, because I'd love to pick on each of you and in a nice way and ask you these questions. So the first question I have for you today is, what is the best testimonial that you got this year? So again, what is the best testimonial that you got this year? And what I'd like you to do is just think about this, just for the next 30 seconds or so, and just think about it. Who was it? What was their name? And what was the testimonial they gave you? So just take some time to either type that in the chat box, and if you could, that'd be great, because I'd love to see it, and I will definitely be calling on you. And then if not, just go ahead and just type it out on your computer or write it down. So what is the best testimonial that you got this year? So as you start to write that down, I want you to think about that. So why was it so important to you? And why does it mean so much? So the second question is that, why does it mean so much to you? So usually when we get a great testimonial, we find that there's a reason behind it. Was that student really stuck? Were they really frustrated? Had they come to you with just an absolute, I'm done with the game of golf, or, or a massive goal, just like they had this insane goal that you were excited about? So the first question again is, what is the best testimonial you got this year? And then why does it mean so much to you? So Jim, thanks for writing that in. So Bob Pimpano broke 80 for the first time, and I love seeing the success of my students more than anything. Jim, if you just want to unmute yourself really quickly, I'd just love to ask you a quick question. If you can unmute, if you're able to talk, I'll unmute you here. So Jim, tell us a little bit about Bob. Like what was he shooting before he broke 80?
Bob was shooting, broke 90 most of the time, but that was about it.
Okay.
And, after both some mechanical lessons and a group session that I do, and Will, as you've been told by me before, so far I haven't spent the money to join your program completely. I'm not in charge at my club.
Well, don't worry about that. You got to go from 90 to 80. That's what I'm happy about. So what did he shoot? What was the score that he shot?
Shot a 78, then
nice.
He shot a 76, and then he shot a 75, and He got me about 12 more clients.
Love it. Okay, Jim, I must have called on the exact right person today, because this is why we're asking these questions today, right? The power of questions. So, what did it mean for you when he shot those scores? Like, just give us like some of the, if you could define the word, like how you felt. What was the word that would best capture how you felt when you heard those scores come in?
Goosebumps.
So, sort of exhilaration, excitement.
Yes, I get these fairly often. Most of these people are older here and play a lot of 9 holes. So I've got several that have broken 40 their first time, 45 their first time, and it just thrills me to death. I'm quite old. I didn't ever think I would be doing this professionally at all. I'm a retired Microsoft engineer.
Nice.
But I kind of got started on the mental game, and it progressed from there about 6 years ago. I'm not a PGA professional, so I'm just kind of a hack.
Well, hey, it's working pretty darn good. Andy, I just saw you type in, Will, do you mean what someone said or what someone did? Andy, you tell me. It's kind of how, what have you written down so far? Jim, that is awesome. And we're going to be coming back to you as well. So Andy, what did you write down?
Well, I had a guy who actually said to me, he said, it's a pity that not more people see the really great work that you do. And that meant a lot, because this is a guy who's off 28. He really understood the scoring method. We're on the last hole of the course, a par 4. And I said to him, I don't care how you do it, but you just got not shooting more than 5 on this hole. He hit 7-iron, 7-iron, wedge 2 putts. So that's perfect, really good, well done. I think he's down to 13 now.
Nice.
But if it was something that somebody did, this was like a bit of a combination from last year. And this year was a guy that I teach, a friend of mine, and he was off handicap 43. We've got a different system over here, as you know. Well, it will be the same from next year. It's 43 and he's off 6. So that was pretty good.
You went from a 43 to a 6 in 1 year.
No, just over. It was like, he went sort of last year, about May time, doing that. But I did him the scoring method for the first 9 holes on the golf course, and he shot, I think, 59. So that was like just around about his handicap. A week later, he shot 45.
Wow.
For 9 holes.
Wow.
So
That is
I took
awesome.
the driver out of his bag for 3 holes and just said to him, you've just got to eliminate your bad shots. And that was like really brilliant. So that's good. And
so Andy,
the other one's a guy that
tell me a little bit about with him. Why does it mean so much to you with him? And then the one before, you said how he wished that more people knew about what you were doing. Tell me why it meant so much to you, those two students.
Well, the one with Mickey, because he's a friend. He's become a friend of mine, so it was really great. He's got his handicap down, and he set himself a real target. Actually, in the the time to be actually next year. Now having handicap 6, he's pretty much where his target is. He's almost. He's not quite. It's a really, really good, difficult target for the like from like the start of this season for 2 years to do it. But he's very close to it now, so that's good. It's nice to see that. And the other guy, it's because I actually teach his whole family. And it was quite funny, because I always thought he was somebody who was quite critical. Just generally, I always thought he was quite critical. And when we were on the golf course, he said, "That's nice," and he actually said, "Yes, and my entire family think that as well." By the way, so that was like quite.
And can you just say,
a
Andy,
bit of a surprise thing, really, because I said he was. I always thought he was quite critical.
Andy, say one more time. What were the words that he said to you? What was the vocal testimonial he gave you?
He said, "It's a pity that not more people see the really great work you do."
Okay, good stuff. Really, really good stuff. Okay, so as people are writing this down, hopefully each of you've got one. Jay Davis, I'm going to pick on you. Jay, have you been able to write one down yet?
I have. This is kind of my first experience with RGX. So I think I've got a call with you Thursday.
Oh, yeah. Cool. Yeah. So what testimony you got?
Mine was from a private lesson, older lady. And first lesson we worked with her, she was having a hard time getting the ball to go anywhere. She couldn't get it over the rough into the fairway to start on a par 5.
Okay.
And worked with her on the range a little bit, worked on her swing, got her mechanically a little bit better. she and her husband ran out and to that par 5 and tried it. And I'm the head pro at a golf course, so I was doing other stuff and was talking to somebody, and out of the corner of my eye, I saw her kind of making a beeline straight to me. And I was like, oh, I'm in trouble. And she ran up and gave me the hugest hug, and she's like, 2 swings, and both of them were 20 yards farther in the fairway over the rough. Was so excited that she could actually hit the fairway on a par 5.
Love it. Love it. And I think what's fun about this, right, guys, is that, and the reason why I'm asking this question for us all today is, I don't know if any of you are ready to raise your hand and say that this has been a year that you might feel just a little bit burnt out. You know, we've come to the end of a year that has just been, beyond anything we've ever experienced. And I think that whether it's someone going from a 43 handicap to a 6, which is just crazy, or a lady getting the ball airborne twice in a row, I mean, our job is to help people love the game of golf, to enjoy the game of golf. And I think that when we see our players do that, right, and when we see someone go from the mid-90s, like you were saying, Jim, to shooting 78, 76, 75, I mean, it just lights us up, right? It's why we do what we do. And I think sometimes, we lose ourselves in the questions, which is like, how am I going to get back to this many emails? How am I going to fit these people into my schedule? How am I going to get time with my family? What am I going to do to finish off all of the things that I've got to complete by the end of the year? And all of these things. And those questions become very tiring. They become very effortful because we're asking ourselves the wrong questions. And sometimes I think as coaches, what we do is I know that I do, right? I slip into this thing of just forgetting that I'm the one that's in control, right? I'm the one that gets to ask the questions for my own business, for my players, and for my golf game and for my life. And so when we slip into getting fatigued, when we slip into sort of the end of the year, it's very easy to sort of cram everything in. And I think that what we've got to sometimes do is just come back to understanding the power of the questions that we're asking ourselves, and then start to look at what are the questions we need to start asking. So the first 2 questions we had today is, what is the best testimonial you got this year, and why did it mean so much to you? Now, the next one I want to ask each of you to do, and please be typing these down, put them in the text box, because I'd love to hear you. And again, for anyone that wants to unmute or type it in and say, hey, I've got a great one. How did you get those results? So I want you to get honest with yourself now and ask yourself, how did I get those results for that player? And the best way that you can do this is have that player's name in front of you, have the result that they got or the testimonial that they gave you, have why it meant so much to you. So what are the hurdles you had to overcome, or the struggles that you guys went through, or the challenges? And then how did you get those results? Because what we heard from Jim, and that was not a loaded question. I didn't know Jim was going to tell me he got 12 more referrals from it. But the idea here is that when we follow our passion, we tend to be at our best, right? And when we tend to be at our best, we impact the most people. And when we impact the most people, guess what? It affects them in a positive way, which then in turn affects us in a positive way. I think Zig Ziglar put it the best ever, which is, if you get enough people what they want, you'll always get what you want, right? It's this idea of, if we're focused on how we help people get the outcomes that they desire, we'll always get the outcome we desire. That's what following your passion is all about. It's not about trying to figure out how much money I'm going to make. It's not figuring out how I'm going to schedule it. It's not figuring out what programs I'm going to run. It's just being present with a player, being present with a team, getting them crazy results, and starting to realize, like, wow, I'm pretty good at this. So as we go through that and we start to look at what did you do to get those results? How did you get those results? Jim, what would you say when we look at the guy, Bob, who went from, 90s to consistently in the 70s? Could you pinpoint the one thing or 2 things that you think you did to make sure you got those? I'll go ahead and unmute you. See if you're able to. You're muted right now, Jim, just in case, if you can unmute. If not, Andy, I'm going to ask you. Oh, that's Jim. Yep, perfect. So, Jim, what would you say that you did?
Well, again, Will, as I've told you, I've borrowed a lot of your stuff. So I teach in a group session now. I'm looking forward in the last 4 years to my 6th session. And I will tell you, I actually tell them in the introductory class to what we're going to do, that I don't want them for students if they're not going to do the program. I hold them very, very strictly and make them accountable to what they do. For example, showing up, doing the work, bringing their forms and their completed tasks. Bob would probably be the essential client that did every darn thing that I asked of him, and he did it well.
Love it. I love that, Jim. And so what you're doing there, right, is you're taking that leadership role. You're getting them to be accountable. You've got them clear goals. You've got them expectations, and you're making sure that they know what they are, and you're making sure that they do them. And so the next question that we're going to ask here, and then I'm going to go on to you, Andy, and ask these same two questions is, how do you duplicate those results? So if we were to look at what you're doing right now, Jim, and what I heard you say was, okay, I laid it out, I gave them clear goals, and they did it. And Jim did that. Like Bob did that. So Jim did his part as a coach, but Bob was a great student. How can you duplicate these results? What would your answer be to that one, Jim?
Well, I would say that most of my ability to duplicate the results is in the introductory program that I do before people sign up. I show them these individuals and their results and how they got them and what they won't achieve if they are not willing to do the work. Again, Will, I very poignantly tell them, I don't want them for a student if they're not going to do the work. They're wasting their money and my time.
Yep, absolutely. And so if we were to look at that in business terms, we'd look at that as qualifying your prospect.
Yes.
Right? I mean, that is one of the key things. And sometimes what happens is, I know in my experiences, I say, okay, well, I did this, and this. And then often I just look at it and I go, well, I did this, and this with 6 other people, and they didn't do it. But why was this one different? And sometimes what we have to just be honest with, we just have to say, you know what, this person was ready. This person was committed. This person understood. And so one of the ways that we can start to understand that is, as we get into this third question is, what is the most important step that you've got to take today to duplicate those results? So what's the most important step you must do today to duplicate those results? And Jim, what you're saying is you've already sort of put it into place and you're starting to do this, which is understanding that the qualification of a prospect is one of the most important things for you, Jim, to make sure that you win. Now, everyone's going to be different on this call, but it's one of those key things is that if you're genuinely honest with a player and you tell them, like, I don't need you if you're not ready for me, you know, and this is the expectations and this is what you can get, but you don't get there by just showing up. You get there by showing up, doing the work, participating, being active, handing in the homework, ABC. And if that's not for you, that's okay. Jim, what would you say is the key thing that you've got to take away from this year and those results and improve on your system of qualifying those prospects so you can get more of those Bobs in your program?
Well, the biggest thing I could do is find a larger place to go teach. We're very limited here in Diamond Head, Mississippi. It's a small community, and I'm probably going to run out of clients locally. I may have to try to figure out a way to expand. Well, I'm going to throw one more thing in to let you understand my position and with these other gentlemen. Unfortunately for me, I retired from my own business as a Microsoft engineer. So unlike you guys, I'm not having to rely on this for income. So it kind of makes me in a unique situation. I can be a little more, what's the right word? Strict, stringent, I don't need these people for survival. Whereas you gentlemen may have to do that a little more so than me. I don't know what else to say there, Will.
Yeah, and I think that, Jim, that brings up a really good point, that what I will say is so often let's just say if it's the Jeff Hotchmans, or I can think of some other names. We got Isaac Winthrop on right now, that don't have to teach full time, that don't want to teach full time, limit their capacity and get more of that mentality of like, no, this is who I want to teach. This is the days I'm not going to teach, and this is it. And in fact, that is actually one of the best ways that you can grow your business, which is by having, we talk about the sold out model, right? This concept of not having a full open schedule, because when you do have that, you tend to say yes to a lot more people because you're trying to fill everything rather than actually build out your specific business. So Jim, I think it's a good point that you make. And yes, everybody on this call is in different positions. But I think as you grow out coaching and you transition from a private model to a coaching model, you must go through the mindset of the qualifying the prospect is the most important thing, because you can get 8 new signups, but if you only get 1 great testimonial, you're not getting the next 12 testimonials coming in. You're getting 7 people who are frustrated. So I think that what we want to look at here is, as we go through these questions again, the first one is, what is the best testimony you got this year? Why does it mean so much to you? And then as we start to understand that, how do we get those results? How do you duplicate those results? And what's the step that you have to take today to ensure that you should continue to duplicate the results that you want? So Andy, for you, I saw you right in there. Give us your thoughts, feedback on that.
Do you remember?
Oh, yours broke up a little bit there, but Andy, you said, with Mickey, I made him see the real problems with his score and not what he thought it was, and encouraged him to practice this more than the other. Things I also got him to improve is mental attitude.
Yeah, I mean, basically that was it. He hits it like miles. Really hits it long. And I was saying, I promise I'm not hitting the fairways. So I'm saying, well, you're not missing them that badly, but you're 70 meters from the green or from the target, you're not hitting the green. That's your problem. And basically, we just went out a few times and I said, I don't care what you do. I'm not writing anything down until you get to 70 meters or less. And then I want to see what score you bring. I said, if it's over 27, it's not good enough. That was like, hit his pitch on and 2 putts. And that was basically what we did. He improved that massively. And what he really improved actually was his ability not to get up and down in 3, but actually to get up and down in 2 from near to the green. That was like a huge change. And that was a mental thing for him as well, and also to actually put it, because he hits it so far, he hit like a 4-iron where I'm in a driver. He's not far beyond my drive with a 4-iron. Yeah. So it's like, and getting him to actually see that and not having to say, okay, hit it like 100 yards past me, but why am I making the same score? And then obviously when he settled back, he'd start to improve from that because he didn't put himself into trouble very often. And that was a good thing for him. Yeah. No,
that makes total sense. So what I'm hearing you say is that with him, you got clarity for him. You got him to understand where he was and where he needed to get to. So you were able to clarify a path forward. So if we were to ask that following question, Andy, that was, how do you duplicate that result? So what do you need to do in your business to help other students that come in see that clear path? Could you give us any insights onto what that might be?
To be honest, what I tried to do, at the moment we've got a bit difficult situation because we've got another lockdown type thing. We're not allowed to do anything other than individual lessons at the moment. But in the summer what I was getting like the group tuition going, and I'd literally take like, let's say 3 people on the golf course and do exactly what we've talked about before, and just show them, okay, well you hit that okay, but why do you take 5 putts on that hole? For example, if you want to improve your score, then improve the putting. So actually, as you said, make it clear to them where the problem actually lies, and then it actually also make them, as I think Jim said, accountable for actually doing that. So I'd get somebody, there's a woman I teach who always springs to mind when I say this, and I say to her, okay, how much did you practice this week? And she, I played 3 lots of 9 holes. I went, no, I didn't ask that. I want to ask you how much you practiced. And after about 6 times of me asking it, she finally said, yeah, I actually went on the driving range, I hit these balls, and I did some chipping and putting, and I played twice. I went, so you practiced once. Yeah. I went, well, it's an improvement. You're getting there. Yeah. You haven't done it, but you're actually getting the right idea now. And that's sort of the thing that make them realise that that playing isn't practicing. It's, that's sort of like the testing is on the golf course, but they've got, either their technique or their exercise they need to improve have to be done as well. So I think that's the clarity for them, and then accountability that they actually do it.
Yeah.
You know?
So I think what you've got going there, Andy, and for each of us is that I just want you to always look at every one of your students, and I look at every one of my coaches as a current case study. It's sort of dangerous to sort of, I think sometimes we get into this mindset of like, okay, they're going through this system, you know, and they're going through the system and they've just got it and they'll follow it. Compared to, no, this system is always developing, because it's that last person through that you're going to be the best coach, right? Because you'll have figured out more than 3 weeks ago or 3 hours ago or 3 years ago. And so I think as I'm hearing from you, Andy, is like this case study of, as you hear this lady 6 times, is telling those stories to people and say, hey, listen, you know, like what I tend to find is, like you said, you know, people go and play and think it's practice. So what I've found to help my players is for you to do this. Here's how I lay out your practice. Jim, you were saying about your practice cards that you use. Some of you might use, do a podcast. Some of you might have a YouTube channel. Some of you might do it through text. Some of you might do WhatsApp. Some of you do Coach Now. But what are the breadcrumbs that you can leave for their success, which is your success? You know, that's really the concept that we're trying to get into here is this, when we see what our best testimonial was, it's that we had the right person at the right time who understood who we are, who had a clear path, who overcame an obstacle that made you feel amazing, that made them feel amazing. Now, what we've got to do is say, like, instead of thinking about we got them there, we've got to think they got us there. What did I do in that process? Oh, I gave her this. Oh, I took time to phone her back. I made a new scorecard for them. Oh, I also did this. It's like, I'm becoming a better coach because of you, not you're becoming a better golfer because of me. And that's the challenge I really want you to look at as you go into this winter season, right? What is it that you need to do to duplicate these results and start to look at, so Andy, what method could you put in? Would it be written? Would it be, obviously you're in a lockdown right now, would it be a weekly, half hour with Andy Zoom call for everybody to hop on and ask questions? Like, how could you educate more people into getting that same result that player got?
Actually, to be honest, for this winter, I've literally this week just looked at Coach Now, or Zoom to try to get something going there. And I'm sort of, I actually sent you a mail. So I've got this new situation. I'm now in a second club as well. And in the second club, it's just group tuition. Mm-hmm. I'm not doing any individual lessons there. So that's going to be a new thing for this year.
Right.
And the only trouble is at the moment, of course, with this lockdown, we're only allowed to do individual lessons. So I had to take all the groups and go, either I'll give you like an individual lesson, which is the only thing I'm allowed to do, or I'll lose them all until the spring. So I thought I'll just do the individual things and just did a little program there for them.
Yeah.
But I think, I looked at Coach Now. I think I'm probably going to go there. I've got some people I can use as guinea pigs who've sort of already said to me, if you want to use us as guinea pigs, you can.
Yep.
And I'm not allowed to use the indoor room at the moment. So it's literally, if I'm teaching, I mean, I was doing the dry range the other day for 7 hours by temperatures from -3 to 0.
Beautiful day.
Oh, terrible.
But yeah, so what I would challenge you each to do then, because I know we've got just a couple more minutes here today. And again, big thank you to Jim and Andy for being able to hop in here. Hopefully each of you have filled this out, right? So let's just go back through these questions and get this concept. And again, please, fire me an email over, right? Send it over, will@rgxcoach.com. I'd love to see it. I'd love to see what you're putting down there is, what is the best testimonial you've got this year? Right? It's all good to listen in, but we all know what happens. You've got to take action, right? What's the best testimony you've got this year? Secondly, why does it mean so much to you? Because that's going to start to show you where you are at your best, overcoming those obstacles or whatever it may have been. How did you get those results? Start to understand that you are learning from your students. I'm learning from every single one of you that I coach, from Mark and Isaac and Andy and Jim and the coaches that I've got on this call and Wayne that are with RGX. It's like, I'm always learning and being like, right, I got to change this. I got to develop this. I've got to put this together. Because how do you duplicate those results? And that doesn't mean making a cookie cutter system that everybody falls into and everybody's perfect, just follows the steps. It's not. It's adding to the toolbox. right? It's adding to the toolbox and knowing what tool to pick out at that time for that person. Okay. And I think as we saw through Jim, what it comes down to is that, you know, when we look at what we're doing to duplicate those results, is really comes down to how do we qualify the prospect? So often we're selling a product or we're selling a package, and that's just the wrong way to go about it. If that's the way you're going about it, you're stuck in a model of selling time for money, which means a fix, right? And that's not coaching, right? You know, they didn't pay that guy from the Kansas City Chiefs. What did he get paid? $500 million for time, right? They paid for results, okay? He's the quarterback. He won the Super Bowl. They want those results. So my challenge to you is qualifying your prospects and really starting to go through is, what was it about this person? What was it about me that got these results? And then how do I go ahead and relate to these people who are coming through the door and let them know, look, for me to get this result for you, you need to be this type of person who wants these type of results with this type of commitment. And I've got to be this type of coach to you. And this is how it works. And a lot of people say, well, Will, how would that possibly work? Well, that's how you grow a real business, is you get real results. It might take a little longer. It may not include a fancy logo or a fancy website or social media. But what it does include is students getting real results, you following your passion, them then telling their friends. And Jim, you said 12 other people came along with it, right? And you build that. And that's where people can find you. Such as if you were to look for Dave Peltz, you know why you go to Dave Peltz. You definitely know why you go to Bob Rotella. You definitely know why you might want to go to Butch Harmon. These guys are very specific on what they do and how they do it, right? And so I just trust that for each of you to go through this process and then ask yourself and take action today on this last question. What is the most important step you must take today to achieve that result of duplicating these results? So with that said, everybody, I'm a couple minutes over. I'm going to keep you all on time today, but make this a great week and go out there. And if you can, just spend the next 15 minutes writing that out. You know, take the time to write this out, get it down on paper. For those of you, you know, who are actively with RGX, make sure you get on the calls this week. Jay, I'm going to be talking to you later on this week, which I'm excited about. And for those of you who aren't yet, Courtney, you might want to just drop in. I was just going to drop in the schedule, see if I've got it right here. If you guys want to hop on a call with me, on an assessment call, see where your business is at, where you're trying to take your business to. Let me just drop this in right now. I'll drop this into the text box right here. Oh, there you go. Courtney already did it. How great is that? Feel free to hop on a call with me. Most importantly, though, like I said, is get these written down, look at them, and then take action on them today. And if you do get the time, please feel free to forward them to me, will@rgxcoach.com, and make it an amazing week. Everybody, talk to you all soon. Thanks.